and there's a really interesting situation happening in Hosea. Hosea is laying the groundwork for a prophecy in verses 1 through 4. The prophecy starts in verse 5. It says, "They shall return to the land of Egypt, and Assyria shall be their king." He gives the reason for this prophecy in these verses. He says, "When Israel was a child, I loved him, and out of Egypt I called my son. And the more that I called them, the more they went from me, and they kept sacrificing to the Baals and offering incense to idols." So is this a prophecy or is this history?
History.
Exactly, yeah. Prophecy is here in verse 5 where he talks about what's going to happen in the future, right?
Yeah, I haven't read it, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, history isn't prophecy, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. The problem is in the same chapter, in Matthew chapter 2, if you go to verse 14, when they go to Egypt to escape Herod killing all the babies, it says, "Joseph got up and took the child and his mother by night and went to Egypt and remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what had been spoken by the Lord through the prophet, 'Out of Egypt I have called my son.'" But we just read it. It wasn't even a prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
Which means, again, Matthew's just making stuff up.
Yeah, so I know that I've seen a few contradictions in the past, and I asked my teacher back home, who is, what's it called? Apologetics teacher, and he referred me to go to Answers in Genesis. So
That's not a good start.
okay, but could you maybe, or I guess I could look it up and then tell you what they say? Like, look at maybe a contradiction that you have and see what a biblical view from Answers in Genesis is, to see if that maybe clears what you're saying.
I could just tell you what they're going to say.
Well, could you just read it and tell me why you don't agree with what they're saying, and then I could tell him.
No, I don't need to read it. I already know what they're going to say. They're going to say either one of two things. There is a near and a far fulfillment, or there's going to say it's a literal fulfillment, or it's a spiritual fulfillment, or specifically on Hosea 11, they're going to say it's typology, but typology isn't prophecy. Typology is a bullshit thing that people make up to justify the lack of prophecies.
Well, so you don't even want to look it up?
I just told you exactly what it's going to say.
But how do you know if you haven't looked it up yet?
Because I already know all the apologetics, because when I was your age, I was doing the same thing you're doing, except I actually went to Bible college and seminary and realized that the stuff that you're doing eventually ends in disaster, because when you actually read the Bible and engage with the scholarly literature, you find out that these apologetics fall flat when you put them in the real world.
So then how come you could say the opposite about people who go to Bible school, they learn more about the Bible, and then they come to be apologetics and people of that such, and they believe in it even more? What would you say to those people?
Very few of them do. Most people in Bible college, if you took 100 people and put them through Bible college and through seminary, and they actually had a rigorous training, there's more of a likelihood that some of them will fall away versus becoming in the apologetic framework. So, of the hundreds of people that I went to seminary with, I personally know a dozen of them that are now atheists. I know only one of them that is even engaging in apologetics, and even at that, it's soft apologetics. The ones that even I graduated with that aren't atheists, a lot of them didn't go into ministry because they're like, well, I don't know if I can actually teach all this nonsense. And even I've got a family member, I won't out him right now, I've got a family member that went to Liberty University, not a liberal school, and he ended up not going into ministry because he said, I came in thinking I had find answers, I actually got more questions than answers. Because when you actually engage with scholarly literature, it is overwhelmingly not apologetic.
Yeah, so then what's your advice for people who feel a connection with God, even though that they may not believe that it is entirely accurate? Would you tell these people to walk away from their religion?
My advice is to follow what's true. If you believe that there's a God, that's great. Listen, all for it. But you can't put your God in this book, because this book just isn't true. So again, I've never said I'm trying to convert everybody to atheism. I think it's the most logical position. But the fact of the matter is, even if there is a God, it's not the God of this book.
Yeah, but you can say you're certain people, these people that you know who went to Bible school. I could say the same people about who I know who are Christians and they have degrees in like my I know many evangelical people who have degrees in the Bible, and they would say the opposite of you. So I don't necessarily think that's a good argument. And
Have you heard of the Clergy Project?
Every time I do ask my teacher questions back home, he does give me an answer that I find fulfilling with evidence.
Because you haven't studied anything yet. If you had him on this live stream, I'm sure we'd cook them. But do you know what the Clergy Project is?
I'm not sure.
It's a group of people specifically designed to support seminary and Bible college grads that are in ministry that no longer believe the nonsense and are leaving the church because they deconstructed. There are thousands and thousands of people that are participating in the Clergy Project that are all Bible college, all seminary educated, just like me. And they all came to the same conclusion I came to, which is that the Bible doesn't actually hold up to scrutiny. Now, are there some that survive Bible college and go into ministry? Sure, yeah. A lot of them are very liberal. You have no idea because they can't tell you. A lot of them don't believe all this nonsense.
Yeah, I just feel like that is a very bad argument, though.
It's a good argument. I know them personally.
Yeah, but I was up on your live one time and you started clowning me for saying this. But my first teacher in university who teaches chemistry and has a doctorate in chemistry is a Christian, and they don't hold to all the forms of evolution.
That's right. Yeah, you're the kid that went to community college.
No, I go to Vanderbilt University, so that's not true.
Oh, no, that was somebody else then. I apologize.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had somebody else saying the same thing. It's common. But again, the fact that you have a professor that is a theist it's not meaningful. Like
yeah,
we
but that's exactly what
we have to look at we have to look at actual data points. So I'm saying that there are thousands and thousands of people that went through the same educational process that I went through, and it is much more likely that they're going to fall away than to become apologists. In fact, when I was in Bible college, we had a protocol for kids that fell away in Bible college. We had specifically 2 professors on staff that were your go-to professors. If you felt like somebody was deconstructing and getting ready to leave Bible college, you were informed you need to talk to these 2 professors, and these 2 professors will go talk to them and try to keep them in the fold because it was that common.
Okay, but again, I think that just because the majority of people believe in something does not say that it's necessarily correct. I think
I agree.
Can say this about anything, like slavery is the first thing that comes to my mind. I wouldn't say that because the majority of people believed in slavery, something stupid like that it was correct. So just because you're saying... So and like my professor who I've talked to multiple times about it, she doesn't really talk to me about it. Actually, I haven't talked to her multiple times, like twice. But she does believe in God. She does believe in Jesus. So do you just take her opinions to be non-validated because she holds the opposite opinions of the vast majority of biologists?
I would say if she was in this live right now and she wanted to talk about how Jesus is God, I would give her the same treatment I'm getting you. I would say, prove it. And then we would go to the Bible, and I would show her how Jesus didn't fulfill a single prophecy, and he didn't even fulfill his own predictions. In Matthew 10:23, 16, 27, 28, and in Matthew chapter 24, he says he's coming back. He's going to judge everybody, and he's going to do it before all of his disciples have passed away. And then they all died, and he didn't do it. So he's not a Messiah. He's a liar.
Well, aren't we all his disciples who are
Christians? He says, some of you standing here to his disciples will not taste death before you see the Son of Man coming.
I wasn't there.
Okay, I have to. This is I actually have to go eat with my friend. But when you think of the Bible as a whole, and you see these stories, what you say to be stories, you see like this complexity of the Bible. You might not deem it to be complex, but it's written by different people throughout different continents. Do you think that it's just? I know you're not going to say it's put together.
They're all from the same people group.
Well,
they're all Israelites. No,
there are not different continents involved.
No, Jeremiah was the guy who wrote in the African continent. He literally was from Israel. He just went to Egypt during the persecution to escape the persecution, and theoretically wrote some of it from Egypt. So that doesn't count as a new continent. The other guy who wrote on another continent theoretically was the guy who wrote on Patmos, who was Jewish. He was from the land of Israel. He got exiled. So again, like everybody's from the same general religious, social, economic strata. It just happened to be that at some point in time they ended up somewhere else and wrote while they were over there. That's like if I wrote a book about America in America and Eric wrote a book about America, but just happened to be traveling in Canada when he wrote it, it wouldn't be interesting that we wrote it on two different continents.
Okay, and then I have two more questions. If the Bible did have no contradictions and it didn't, in your ideology, support slavery, just the message of Christianity in general, would you believe the Bible to be true?
No, because even if it didn't have contradictions, it doesn't mean that it's not true. Like they'd say the same thing in Islam. You know, if there's no contradictions in the Quran, cool. But not having contradictions doesn't mean that it's true.
Okay, and then my last question is, if the Bible is, like many Christians say, a holy book, and it's like a book that makes you feel good when you read it, why do you think that the writers of the book would purposely put in passages that were horrific and like God commanding them to kill people groups? Like, why would these authors put those kind of passages in if that, like, them doing that, they know would turn people away from the book? Like,
Well,
They probably didn't think that way. Yeah.
Exactly. They thought they were putting something in there that was beneficial because they went in and they slaughtered all these people. And then at some point, their grandchildren were like, hey, why did we come in and slaughter all these people? And they're like, oh, well, we had to because God cursed them, right? The same thing, like in the 50s, it was very popular to do both books and movies of like cowboys versus Indians. And they painted the Native Americans as being like these wild savages that needed to be subdued. That's propaganda shit. That's the same thing the Bible's doing. We're saying we had to do it. Look at them.
yeah, but
And
again,
you can make the same argument about Islam. That they do the same thing. They say go kill the disbelievers, go unalive them, go rape them, take their children, take their wives, etc. It says the same thing.
yeah, but again, like I guess that is a fair point if it's a different book. I'm just not exactly sure why the authors would say like this loving God is coming to save you, this loving God is coming to take away your sins, this loving God wants a relationship with you, and then they just decide to put in like, but this God also commands the killing of innocent children. This God also commands like doing all this horrible stuff. I just feel like that's something that actually happened and God actually commanded them to do that. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put it in the Bible. I feel like there would have been no point to do so.
The
No,
same
they,
could be
they
said
put
here.
it there because it was already part of their culture. You can't take it away.
Exactly.
When your culture has a holy book, you can't just go into it and just rip all the stuff out of that you don't like. You have to find a way to massage it. You have to say, oh, actually, God gave us progressive revelation. Oh, actually, God didn't give those laws forever. He said to follow it just for a time period because you have hardened hearts. You just find ways to soften it, which is the same thing Christians are doing today. You're going back to the Bible and you're just finding ways to massage it to not give it up.
All right, I see. I appreciate talking with you guys.
All right,
You're welcome.
Good to hear from you, man.
All right, see ya.
Cheers.
The simpler answer to his question is we create the gods in our own image.